again. Today we're gonna do this, the last sketchbook project, Transformational Self-portrait drawing. So next week, I will give you the final sketchbook submission guideline with the format. The final sketchbook submission is 20% of your final grade, which is a huge portion of your grade. So you must submit it. So all you have to do is just finishing your artworks. We've done. We're gonna make the the last one. Sketchbook project today, then you will make 8 pieces. So you must submit at least 6 pieces of your sketchbook so you can get the full point of it. But if you submit all of the completed pieces, then you will get the extra credit to upgrade your final grade. So don't miss that opportunity to upgrade your final grade. Also, we only have 2 more weeks before the final exam. So if you miss any assignments or participation, please submit it before the final exam. All right. So before we start the talk about the sketchbook project, the last one, we're gonna watch a video about the Vincent van Gogh, because who is the very influential figure in the modern art history. Oh, let's watch this together first.
Here and painted sunflowers. My guess is you're instantly going to know who I'm talking. I ask you, which painter cut off part of his ear and painted sunflowers? My guess is you're instantly going to know who I'm talking about, right? Vincent van Gogh. But there's a lot more to Van Gogh than just ears and sunflowers that made him one of the most influential artists who ever lived. Let's dig into who was Vincent van Gogh.
This episode is funded by the Glick Fund and the Crystal DeHaan Family Foundation, who inspire philanthropy and creativity.
On March 30th, 1853, Vincent van Gogh was born in a small town in the Netherlands to a Protestant minister, Theodorus van Gogh, and his wife, Anna Carbentus. Unfortunately, 1 year earlier, Anna had a baby who died stillborn, whose name was also Vincent. They must have really liked the name, since they used it once again for the Vincent van Gogh we know. Vincent had 3 sisters and 2 brothers, Anna, Theo, Will, Lies, and Cor. When Vincent was 11, his parents sent him off to boarding school. He did not like this at all, but he did manage to get pretty good grades. And at age 13, he was sent to secondary school in Tilburg, where he did quite well, especially in languages. By the way, did you know that Vincent could speak and write in Dutch, English, and French? Yep. Unfortunately, Vincent's family wasn't doing well financially back home, so he quit school after his 2nd year to return. That was the last of his schooling. As you can imagine, Van Gogh's parents started worrying about what would he do with himself, a concern his parents had pretty much the rest of their lives. Thankfully, in 1869, at age 16, his uncle, known as Uncle Cent, got Vincent a job as a trainee at the international art dealer Goupil & Cie in a town of The Hague. It was at this time that Vincent's younger brother Theo was working for Goupil as well, but in Brussels. In 1872, Vincent began writing letters to Theo, a practice that lasted his entire life. In fact, he wrote some 651 letters to Theo. Good thing texting wasn't around. I have a feeling Theo's phone would have been like ringing off the hook. In 1875, he transferred to Paris, where he became increasingly religious. Even though Vincent was becoming more interested in art, he was becoming less interested in his job. So, in 1876, he quit and returned back to England to begin several years of what we might call his job hunting or experimenting. Vincent tried a variety of jobs, such as teaching and working in a bookstore, but ultimately decided to follow his dream of studying theology at the age of 24. He continued to write to his brother Theo and began including sketches in his letters. But Vincent and I shared a common difficulty when it came to school, which was staying focused. Vincent preferred to wander around the city and take long walks through the countryside. Historians guesstimate Vincent would walk, get this, 4 to 6 miles a day. As you probably have guessed, Vincent quit school again, but decided he still wants to serve God. He moves to Belgium on a new mission, work as a preacher in the mining region of Borinage. Vincent went all in and lived with the miners, sharing in their poverty. He would sleep on the floor and gave away just about everything he owned. His nickname was the Christ of the coal mine. We now come to a pivotal moment for Vincent when his brother advised him to concentrate more on his drawings. Vincent started taking painting lessons from artist Anton Mauve, who taught him the basics of oils and watercolors. Vincent ate this instruction up and practiced fanatically. His uncle commissioned him to draw some perspective drawings of the city, one of which was this one of The Hague. Vincent moved back to Nieuwenan in 1883, where his parents lived, and rented a small studio on the back of the house. Soon after, in 1885, Vincent's father died, and he started working on The Potato Eaters, along with taking up chain smoking and a terrible diet.
Yummy.
On the move once again, Vincent moves to Paris to live with his brother, uninvited I might add, where Theo introduces him to artists like Claude Monet, Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec, and Émile Bernard. All this exposure to the new Impressionists inspired Vincent to start using brighter colors. So compare the Hill of Montmartre with Stone Quarry to the Potato Eaters. Pretty drastic difference, right? At this time, Vincent was also amazed by the German composer Wagner and became excited by the analogies between painting and music. He even took organ lessons at one point, which apparently didn't work out because Vincent continually compared musical chords with colors like Prussian blue or cadmium yellow. Yeah, the organist decided he was dealing with a madman. Vincent also discovered a new inspiration in Japanese woodcuts, which sold all over Paris. Both he and his brother Theo started collecting them. After just 2 years, Vincent is getting tired of the busy lifestyle in Paris and dreamt of sunshine and countryside. So he hopped on a train and headed south to Provence. In 1888, he ended up in the small town of Arles, where he went on one of the most amazing creative sprints the world has ever seen. Vincent was so excited after arriving in Arles and seeing all the bright light and the colors, he immediately got to work painting flowers such as orchids and workers gathering the harvest and boats along the coast. Feeling inspired but a bit lonely, Vincent wrote to Theo about setting up a studio of the South for artists to work at. With this in mind, Vincent rented a small yellow house with 4 rooms. It's hard to imagine just what it was like in that yellow house, but apparently paintings were everywhere. Of the 200 plus works created while Vincent was there, only a few made it back to Theo in Paris to hopefully sell. The house reeked of pipe smoke, turpentine, and paint pigment. It was hot and with no bathroom. Washing arrangements were a bit limited. Vincent was also addicted to coffee, something else we definitely have in common. When short on cash, Vincent lived on little else but coffee and bread. Only one artist ever came down, which was Paul Gauguin. To welcome Gauguin to the Yellow House, Vincent painted this little gem. Might look a bit familiar to you. While people often focus on the dysfunctional aspects of their relationship, they actually got along quite often. Vincent certainly was inspired by Gauguin, who was also a bit cocky and probably hard to deal with. Part of the problem might have been the room they both shared to work in, which was less than 16 feet across. At its longest wall measured 24 feet. But the room had a strange shape where it narrowed to 9.5 feet on the other side. I mean, not a super tiny room, but they were definitely bound to bump into each other. The two had very different painting techniques. Gauguin liked to work from memory, while Vincent preferred to paint what was in front of him. Vincent also applied paint with amazing speed, gathering up the paint as with a shovel. He was known to sit and stare at the canvas and then suddenly leap up, attack the canvas with 2 or 3 brushstrokes, and then scramble back to his chair. Both artists had very different views on art, which led to some pretty heated arguments. It was on December 29th in 1888, around 11 p.m., that Gauguin and Vincent got into another argument and Gauguin threatened to leave. Vincent, who always had a difficult time working through his emotions, grabbed a razor and sliced off his ear. The part of this story you may not know about is what happens next. Vincent wrapped up the ear in newspaper, headed down to the red light district, and presented the package to a young lady and said, "Guard this object carefully," and then disappeared. After waking up in a hospital the next morning, Vincent didn't remember much about the incident and seemed to be perplexed by the whole situation, which seems to come out in a self-portrait done soon after. Vincent's dream of sharing a studio came to an end and Gauguin left. Van Gogh also realized he had some sort of illness, and fearing he might have another episode, he admitted himself to St. Paul de Mousseau, a psychiatric hospital in Saint-Rémy. There are many different ideas as to what illness Vincent had. Some believe Vincent suffered from temporal lobe epilepsy, which causes seizures as well as manic depression. Interestingly, another creative who suffered from the same thing was Edgar Allan Poe. Perhaps this is why, on good days, Vincent would paint the walled garden at Saint-Rémy and was later even allowed to work outside as well. But his mental health would fluctuate, and one time during an episode of extreme confusion, he ate some of his oil paint. Despite the relapses, Vincent was incredibly productive. He completed around 150 paintings within a year. You heard me right, 1 year. Of these paintings was the iconic Starry Night, which he painted while looking through the iron-barred windows in his room. While Vincent did only sell a few paintings while still alive, he did start to see some appreciation for his work. In 1890, 6 of his paintings were shown in Brussels. One art critic, Albert Aurier, published a positive article about the show, and Vincent even sold one painting, The Red Vineyard. Interestingly, Starry Night was not in this show. As the year continued, Vincent felt pretty good and even left the mental hospital, heading north to Auvers-sur-Oise. This was closer to his brother Theo, and there was a doctor, Paul Gauchet, to watch over him. Vincent threw himself into his work painting gardens and wheat fields around the village. Unfortunately, it was during this time that Vincent started to worry about money since he heard his brother Theo might quit his job. This sent Vincent into an episode of extreme worry and depression concerning the future. It was on July 27th in 1890, he set out to paint a wheat field and shot himself in the chest with a pistol. Wounded, he staggered back to the inn where he was staying, some 2+ miles away. 2 days later, he died from his injuries. As you can imagine, medicine at this time was not what it is today, especially for mental illness and depression. I imagine neither Vincent nor his doctor had any idea how serious his condition was or could get. And man, do I wish he could have had the medicine and doctors we have today. Either way, Vincent's legacy is like none other, creating over 850 paintings and nearly 1,300 works on paper. Unfortunately, not 6 weeks after Vincent's death, his brother Theo came ill and then died a year later in 1891. This brings us to Theo's wife, Jo Van Gogh. Jo knew the power of Vincent's work, and it became her goal to raise public awareness, including loaning paintings to museums all over the world, which finally brought in more and more buyers. In 1914, she also published the first edition of Vincent's letters to Theo. This passion for seeing Vincent van Gogh's work appreciated passed down to her son, Vincent. After Jo's death in 1925, the massive art collection passed down to her son, who loaned it to a museum in Amsterdam in 1930. After the Vincent van Gogh Foundation was formed in 1962, work began on a dedicated museum for the collection. In 1973, the Van Gogh Museum opened. Over 1.5 million people visit this incredible museum every year. There was certainly more to Vincent van Gogh than sunflowers and cut off ears. He was driven to find his calling in the world, and once he did, He poured himself into what he was most passionate about. If anything, it inspires me to keep creating, keep following what you believe you are born to do, even if the crowd does not agree. Until next time, be outrageous. Click on the right to get yourself.
All right. How was the video? Was very
It was
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy to understand the one artist whole life with the
Van Gogh was a little touched.
uh-huh.
Yes.
He was a little touched.
It was a great artist. All right. So let's talk about the last sketchbook project, Transformational Self-portrait. So you're gonna make a self-portrait for the last project, and which is based on the modern art styles. So let's see what it is. So we've learned the history of Western art, right? And we saw it. It shows dramatic changes for 1,000 years. But when we just highlight centuries, we can simply divide into two big threads of art styles, like representational art and non-representational art. So representational art is this, like Leonardo da Vinci's painting. It is a type of recording art style in which the sensory information about a physical object is described in a medium. So it is an observational and figurative art. So there are lots of representational self-portrait styles in the history of Western art. So let me share the representational self-portrait examples. So this is Rembrandt's self-portrait painting, which is the Baroque art style from the 17th and 18th century. This is Chuck Close's representational self-portrait painting. We're gonna learn this art style probably next week, which is the photorealism art movement style. And this is an acrylic painting. It's a painting. It's not a photography. So this is also figurative self-portrait style. And here's Frida Kahlo's self-portrait style, so with the exotic background. Oh, no, Vincent van Gogh's self-portrait we just saw together through the video. And who's this? Salvador Dali, right? And he's a self-portrait. So, he mastered the Renaissance art style. The techniques, so he could make art in a representational style, even though he styled to the surrealism style of art after the avant-garde. So now let's see the non-representational style. We just saw the representational style art, and now we'll see non-representational art style. So these types of art is called non-representational art. So, and there are many non-representational art styles. So it can be abstract, it can be non-figurative, non-objective, or non-realistic. And most of them are imaginary art styles. So let me show you the non-representational self-portrait styles, because we're gonna make a self-portrait drawing for the last sketch project. This is Chuck Close, another self-portrait. You just saw in the black and white self-portrait photorealistic painting, in the representational section. But he also created like this abstract self-portrait styles. He used abstract motifs, the little cells called like motif, right, to paint himself. All right. So here's another non-representational self-portrait style. Everyone, can you guess whose self-portrait is? Can you guess who's the
Van
artist?
Gogh?
Huh?
No, never mind. No,
Van,
I was gonna say Van Gogh, but I don't think so.
yeah, Van Gogh is tend to the realistic style because he painted what he what he saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this the guy with the funny mustache?
I think so.
Yeah, it looks like his work for sure.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Because of the eyes are very bright,
Uh-huh.
very wide open.
That's
So,
right. I can see it. Yeah.
yeah, this is that guy. That's him.
So who's the artist?
Salvador Dali.
Salvador Dali. But
Thank you.
his style is, his style like, very so realistic, but his technique, like this, very,
There he is.
like, the Renaissance technique. He's using the Renaissance technique, but he depicted like the dreamlike things. It looks like this. No, this one is different style. So let me give you the hint. He created like Cubism art style.
Are you talking about Picasso?
There we go, Pablo Picasso. Yes, it's Pablo Picasso.
I knew
Wow.
it. I knew it.
Oh, wow.
Mhm. Yeah, very good guess. Very good. Yes, it was Pablo Picasso's self-portrait. All right, we saw this painting before, like $110 million painting.
This is the kid that died at age 26.
Mm-hmm.
Basquiat.
Yeah, it's Basquiat. Yeah, that's right. Your research, yes. Very good. So we learned many of the modern artists, already, master the traditional style of art. So in other words, representational art styles, like the left one, right? But because of the photograph's invention, the most of the artists, did like avant-garde art movement. They joined the avant-garde movement and then abandoned the traditional style of art and sought the new style of art, like the Cubism art. So these are all the Pablo Picasso's self-portrait. Now we can see the the change process from the beginning to the end, and the middle stage, like traditional art and abstract art. So the camera was developed in this modern time, and there are many diverse art movement arose before avant-garde and after avant-garde. Based on the avant-garde means newest art movement. So before the avant-garde movement, there were realism, impressionism, post-impressionism. So like I said, now these three art movements still are based on the the traditional art style, or like a representational art style. But the theme of art would be different. compared to the previous art movement like Baroque or Rococo or the Renaissance art style. And after avant-garde, now many of artists created non-representational art style like Fauvism, Expressionism, Cubism, Futurism, Dada, Surrealism, Idealism. So let's see now the art movements after the avant-garde. Since these three art movement before the avant-garde based on the representational art style. No, we're gonna just skip that part, and then we're gonna see this. Now we're gonna just review this art movement after the avant-garde. So we'll learn the Fauvism. This is the Henri Matisse painting. And Expressionism by Edward Munch, and another Expressionism by Vasily Kandinsky, and Pablo Picasso, Cubism, and another Pablo Picasso's painting, and Dadaism by Marcel Duchamp, and Surrealism by Salvador Dali, and another surrealist artist, René Magritte, and the last one, Idealism, Piet Mondrian. So we learned these non-representational art styles. So now, we are going to do transformational self-portrait drawing. So we're gonna see the process of the change, like the modern art. Now, based on what we learned in this modern art chapter. So here is the transformational self-portrait drawings detail process. So step one, you're gonna draw yourself in representational or observational art style, or which is very important, you can just take a picture of yourself. So you can choose draw yourself like a realistic drawing skill, or you can just take a picture of yourself for the representational art style. So basically you're going to make two self-portrait. One is the representational style, and the other one is non-representational art style based on the art movement after avant-garde. So step two, choose one of the modern art styles after the avant-garde. We just saw Fauvism, surrealism, Dadaism, idealism, etc. Right? You're gonna choose one of them and then apply it into your non-representational self-portrait drawing. And step three, please transform your representational style self-portrait drawing or picture into the non-representational style based on the modern art style you choose on a new sheet of sketchbook. Again, you're going to make two pieces of art for this project. And step four, please finish the abstract self-portrait and then please color it. And again, you must show two different styles self-portraits when you submit with the short description and which modern art movement style you apply into your drawing. So for this project, you will need a sketchbook, pencil, eraser, color medium, and camera. And please post two styles of your self-portrait, representational and non-representational style of art with a short description. And you must write which modern art style you apply into your non-representational self-portrait drawing. So again, you're going to choose one of them for your non-representational art style of art drawing. So like Fauvism or Expressionism, Cubism, Dada, Surrealism, and Idealism. So, the representational self-portrait styles are so popular, and you can just take a picture of yourself instead of drawing yourself, for the first drawing. So I'm going to just share abstract self-portrait examples with you. So this is a Cubism style self-portrait. And this is also Cubism style self-portrait, like Pablo Picasso's self-portrait. And here's another Cubism style of self-portrait. And also this one is Cubism style self-portrait. And this is Expressionism self-portrait style.
That's nice.
Yeah, very good.
I like that.
You can apply that style into your self-portrait drawing. And this is also Expressionism self-portrait drawing. And another Expressionism self-portrait drawing.
That's nice.
Painting. And this one can be Cubism style or Surrealism style of self-portrait drawing.
I like that one.
And here's another Cubism style self-portrait painting. And this one is also Cubism style self-portrait drawing. But somehow it's slightly mixed with the Expressionism. And this one we can say Fauvism. And another Fauvism, like wild beast self-portrait style. And here's another Fauvism drawing style. And this one is Surrealism drawing style. And here's another Expressionism self-portrait drawing style. And Expressionism style of drawing. Or we can say Surrealism style of drawing, because here in the middle parts is very descriptive style. And here's also Surrealism and Expressionism self-portrait drawing style. And this is Dada style. And another Expressionism self-portrait drawing style. And Expressionism. So that's it. So again, you're gonna make 2 self-portrait drawing. One can be just to take a picture of yourself, or if you want, you can draw yourself in a traditional style. And the other one should be a non-representational style. You're gonna choose one of these style from the modern art movement after the avant-garde, and then apply it into your self-portrait drawing. So any question about this project?
Okay. So the first drawing is gonna be a representation of yourself, but you can take a picture of yourself.
That's right.
The second one is where we're gonna actually draw ourselves using one of the type of art styles.
That's right.
Okay, I just wanted to get clear. Thank you.
You're welcome. So
Professor, so the second one actually has to be drawn and not a picture.
Exactly.
Okay.
So for the second one, second piece should be drawing, not the picture, but the first one can be just a picture.
And do you want just any picture, or you want like a specifically?
No, just any style of your self-portrait picture. It will be fine. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And by tonight, please post to your work process in this week 14-1 sketchbook project 8 discussion forum. This is the last sketchbook project. Again, next week, I will give you the final sketchbook submission guide, which is 20% of your final grade, which is a huge portion of your grade. So you must submit it to pass this course. We make 8 pieces of artwork so far, but you must submit 6 completed, finished pieces to get the full point. And if you submit all of the finished 8 pieces artwork, then you will get the extra credit to upgrade your final grade. So please don't miss that, huge opportunity to upgrade your grade. Then, so all you have to do for the final sketchbook submission, just to finish your artwork. So when I give you the guide with the format, you can just, take a picture of your artwork and then, attach your artworks in the format. That's all. All right. Any other question, everyone?